And when you hit 140 miles an hour and cross that line, you know what you did, and the scoreboard shares your feet with the nearby world. 9.65 seconds.
Okay, so here's my question. The one thing that I like about having an objective reality is the fact that objectivity gives you a number. It gives you 9.65. So as for my question is, they're giving you a number and they're telling you that they've built something that is capable of doing 9.65. And they called it the fastest street legal production car ever made. But technically, the word I think they should use is quickest, because the Bugatti Veyron and the Bugatti Chiron can go well beyond 250 miles per hour. They are also faster than the Koenigsegg's, since those are not production cars, except for these morons who actually think the Fast and Furious and the Need for Speed movie were documentaries instead of just being movies. But again, the objective reality is that 9.65 is a number that they gave to you, and they told you that this thing is capable of 9.65. So what made you think that anything that you have that is not capable of 9.65 is on its best day capable of beating something that is capable of 9.65? So let's just real quickly ask Google, what are fastest production? See, that's the important thing. You gotta use the word production, because we want to avoid vehicles like those Lamborghinis with the twin turbos and all these mods which are going to eventually set those cars on fire. We don't like to mod cars because when you're dealing with these supercars that have their mid-engines and, they have poor airflow, what you're basically doing is you're setting yourself up to end up setting your car on fire. So I don't really like those. I like production cars. I don't like mods. So anyway, fastest production car quarter mile times. Now, when you add that word production in there, it cuts out all the bullshit. You know the bullshit? Oh, look what picture popped up by Caitlin Duffy, July 11th, 2018. Well, let's look at some objective field testing instead of the nonsense and the trolling on YouTube where people come on your channel and they start making wild accusations about driver mods. Okay, a 1/4 mile, blah, 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 blah. Let's get to it. Okay, well, the Lamborghini Aventador SV is capable of a 10.4 quarter mile. Max speed is 141 in that quarter mile. Okay, that sounds nice. 10.2 for the Huracan, so we're going down. The Bugatti Veyron, because it's so heavy, is capable of a 10.1. But the Bugatti Veyron's design is not for quarter mile times. The Bugatti Veyron was designed to be the fastest car ever made and to go well beyond 260 or whatever it is if you buy the Bugatti Veyron Super Sport model. Forget those Koenigsegg's and all that fake-ass non-production shit. And the Hennessy Venom GT, they put that car here, but the Hennessy Venom GT is not a production car, and it wasn't sold in numbers large enough. But you know what? Right now, that's not my argument, because I already made a video which got over 1 million views, which talked about this. So I'll leave this one alone for right now. I have other fights to argue. Now, it says the McLaren 720S is capable of a quarter mile of 9.9. That's what it says. But guess what? We still have other cars to go. Now, mind you, it has a 4.0 liter V8 twin turbo, right, with 710 horsepower. Okay, that sounds nice. Ferrari LaFerrari is 9.8 seconds. So the Ferrari LaFerrari is a little bit more capable than this. Now, granted, I mean, depending upon where you are and the air temperature and the air pressure, when you're dealing with these forced induction vehicles like that McLaren twin turbo, I mean, there are a lot of variables that can affect the scientific testing of such a vehicle. And then you have the Porsche 918 Spyder, which I knew was a very, very fast car because it has the hybrid electric motor assist, which is capable of 9.8 seconds. Then we keep going down to the Mclaren P1, capable of 9.8 seconds, and it's, you know, stock form. And I know the P1 is a very, very fast car. Gets 148.9 miles per hour, wherein the Porsche 918 in that same amount of distance would only be doing 145. And then there's the Bugatti Veyron Supersport, which obviously is the fastest street-legal production car made up until the Chiron, the new Chiron. And that's 9.7 seconds and a quarter mile, 145 miles per hour. But then when we get all the way to the bottom of the page, what do you see? What you see here is called the Dodge Demon. And the Demon is capable, just like this man said. You see that nice man right here? You remember that nice man who told us that this vehicle is capable of 9.65? Well, guess what? It just so happens that even with car and drivers testing using the Demon's technology and whatnot and its drag tires, they too were able to reach a 9.65 quarter mile time. Now we get to the juicy part of my argument. There are a lot of people, and I knew that this was going to happen because, you know, I expected it. You know, I start wars and trouble with people like I'm the United States government. I knew that there were going to be a lot of trolls who were going to start talking smack about the Demon runs that I recorded, because what it does is it tears at their cognitive dissonance, which has made them believe that everything that they've seen in Forza video games is real. And I knew that those games weren't realistic when I started driving some of the cars that I had driven in real life, and then realized that they handled nothing like they did in real life. But then again, you're playing with a fucking controller like this. You're not actually, you know, a wheel and a steering wheel and all that. So anyway, I have a couple of comments that I have to address. And the first thing I want you to understand was in the video that I posted, Demonology actually drove both Demons. He drove his red Demon, and then he borrowed Tunnel Chaser's Demon and drove that one too. So one of the things that I'm sure that he'll post later on when he makes his video about this is the fact that he drove both Demons just to prove that it was possible with both Demons to pull such low numbers. Now, with Tunnel Chaser's Demon, he didn't get below a 10.5 or whatever because the tires and the setup wasn't the same as on his Demon, where he had lighter tires by Hoosier, whatever. So I've got these crazy fun comments coming in I love addressing. And I have somebody right here, Dream Car Lover. And it says, so here's the truth. The best stock Demon time has not beaten the best stock 720S time. Luxury, whatever. According to Car and Driver, yeah, it has. So your argument is thereby invalidated. And by invalidated, I mean I have taken it, crumpled it up, and thrown it out the window like so much trash. Okay. It will embarrass a stock Demon any day of the week. Oh, really? Well, let's roll that beautiful Demon footage and see it embarrass the Demon on this specific day, Saturday, 10/20/2018. Snatch his soul, goddammit. Snatch his soul. Look at that thing. Look at that Demon. Look at that Demon. Woo! Cap that ass. Cap him. Snatch that soul. Snatch his soul! 1013 versus 1025. Snatch his soul. That's right. Snatch that soul, baby. Moving right along, he says you can spend a lot less on a car to make it go down the quarter mile faster. On the other hand, the 720 does all the things great. Well, Dream Car Lover, the one thing that it doesn't do so great is not lose to the Demon on the drag strip. Sunday. God. Yeah, you see, you kind of don't want to line up against cars like that. Any car that's like that, you don't want to do it. All right, here we go. All right, I'm going to zoom out for this shit. Let's go take him down. Snatch that soul.
Speed in lane 1 and here at 120 Demonology over there, right-hand side.
Snatch that soul, baby. 1035 for the McLaren. Well, you just got your soul snapped. Pure and simply, well, no, you're supposed to say simply. So what you're going to want to do is get rid of this E right here, and you're going to want to put a Y. One of the baddest street cars on the planet. Acceleration, braking, corning. What the fuck is corning? Wait. What is corning? Do you mean like, wait, when you say corning, Corning, let's type in Corning, and what do we get? We get Corning Gorilla Glass. Corning? It is Corning? What the fuck is that? Oh, I think you mean it's better at cornering. Okay, well, I'll give you that point. It's probably better at cornering. It should be, actually, considering it costs well above $300,000, and I'm pretty sure taxes add damn near the price of a demon to that price tag. But what it's not good at is not losing on Saturday, 10/20/2018. That's what it's not good at. So when you say it's good at everything, I have to disagree. So anyway, it says, well, I did post my own comment to reply. I like the McLaren, but I can't get excited about them until they put the seat back in the center. And you've heard me say this a number of times. I have stopped being excited about McLaren since after the F1 LM, since they dropped the central seating. You know, McLaren, my problem is everybody's making these supercars now. You got these guys in Dubai, you got these countries like Iran trying to make supercars. They all look alike. They all got these same bullshit twin turbo V8s I don't give a fuck about. At least the Bugatti Veyron and the Chiron, at least they have a 16 W16 with a freaking 4 quad turbochargers. That shit is exciting. But these other V8 twin turbos, like they're putting the Hennessy's and that's boring to me. The Koenigsegg, that's boring. No thank you. And that's why that piece of shit lost his fucking demon so many times in a row. Didn't even win a single one. So anyway, let me keep moving. It says, I would hope that a car that's $299,000 would be not losing to a $39,000 car that's marked up to $89,000 with obsolete engine technology. Because as you know, a V8 and a supercharger is not the most sophisticated thing out there. They were doing that back in the 70s, for God's sakes. In fact, if you go way back, they had more power in the cars back then, but the problem was the gas mileage was horrendous. I mean, they had ridiculous amounts of power back then. They had shit that you'd kill yourself driving back then, which, you know, we don't want to have. But then, okay, so basically, once again, this dream car lover, your argument's invalid, so I'm just moving on. So anyway, this other person, Striker V8, it says, not bad for a modded demon at all. Demonology posted on the forum he has a tune and then deleted it once it was found. That and the 15-inch drag radials. Really? Oh, that's interesting. So anyway, the first thing I asked him was, how do you explain Demonology gapping that McLaren and Tunnel Chase's Gray Demon at 12 minutes? 12 minutes. This was 12 minutes. This is what happened at 12 minutes. The majority of these foreign import supercars, these things aren't doing better in that quarter than 10.5 typically. You know? You try that shit against a Tesla, you're gonna lose. Uh-oh, that demon jumped. Whoa! Soul snatch! You got gapped! You got gapped, McLaren! How about that gap? Well, it rests my case there. So, considering that was Demonology driving Tunnel Chaser's demon, which was not his own car, if Demonology's car was modded, which it's not, then those mods would definitely not be able to carry over to Tunnel Chaser's car, which, you know, is a separate entity in and of itself, and therefore he shouldn't have been able to beat him once again. But I think what we're forgetting is the fact that this fine, nice guy right here already told us the story. He told us that this thing was capable of 965. And then there is Car and Driver, who does test these vehicles to make sure that they actually can pull off the numbers promised. And Car and Driver itself told us that this thing was capable of 9.65. So basically, without further ado, I can basically announce that your argument is invalid as well. But what I'd also like to add very simply is that, production vehicles that are designed to meet a certain number or point of some type meet that number and meet that point of whatever type. So you can try to talk your way around it. You can try to talk about how well something goes around the Nürburgring or how fast something goes past Erlesheim. But guess what? 99.9% of all of the Americans, and I would also venture to say that 99.9% of all the people who have ever existed have no idea where Erlesheim is and have no idea where the Nürburgring is. And 99.999% will never ever go to either one. So what you're dealing with is you're talking about video games that you've played that give you the names of these tracks and their supposed locations on Earth, but because the vast majority of humankind will never actually venture to any of them, your arguments are invalid. And then I would also like to go on to say that the likelihood of me pulling up to one of these cars in the street is much, much lower than the likelihood of me pulling up to this Dodge Demon running 9.65. And if that's the case, then I don't have to worry about some imaginary track from a video game that I'll never see, or some point on Earth that I'll never actually go to and pack up a car to take to. So your arguments are doubly invalid. Invalidated, kaput, finito. Sorry, my friends. If you're going to argue, you're going to have to argue on the facts, because that is what we do. We use an objective-based reality. And then I got other comments, and somebody said, oh, yeah, well, all you got to do is put a little bit of work into the Mclaren. Well, a little bit of work? Wait a minute. This thing is over $300,000. Why would I have to put work in something that costs that much? And then obviously the flame war starts. It says it looks suspicious that Demonology was able to run this, and he says that he had some kind of fake comment up here. And then I looked at the comment. It says the comment was at hellcat.org threads. Now, mind you, he claimed that this post was deleted once people found it. Really? So when you click on it, this is what you get. What you get is it says the name Demonology. It says it was last edited by a moderator yesterday at 8:34. It says the person who this is claimed to be is a rookie, which means that this person didn't comment very many times, or not enough to go up another rank. It says this person had one message, one trophy point, and that this person only joined October 11th. Demonology's been racing a long time. Why the hell would he have a rookie profile and a comment for whatever reason is under review? I don't think so. It's called a fake. So this is what you guys need to do. Learn to take some telling. Learn to understand that when a multi-million-dollar company actually tells you something that they can prove using scientific data and videotape evidence, it's probably better that you actually listen to them, because most likely they're telling you the truth. And I would also go so far as to say that I don't care how well your thing turns on a track. I don't care how well it goes around in circles and how well it drives in slaloms. I don't care about any of that. I care about a number of other points, like number one, can I beat you on the track with it? And number two, can we all afford these things if we're hustling? And basically, it just comes down to the fact that this thing costs less than $100,000 and beat this thing over here that costs $300,000. So I guess the value to performance is in the favor of the Dodge Demon. So that's pretty much all I have to say. So if there's any more negatives and arguments, I guess you should address them to FCA itself. And you can send them arguments, you can send them demands that they show the 9.65, which I'm very certain they can, since even Car and Driver can do it. But as for all your bullshit about going around tracks and stuff, listen, I drive cars like this as a daily driver, not to go around tracks. I go back and forth to work, or I go back and forth to the parties or whatever. I haven't seen a track. I live in fucking New York City. I don't know where any tracks are. I had to drive 150 miles to Pennsylvania, or I have to drive 60 miles to Englishtown, New Jersey, just to see a small drag strip track. So, all of that stuff that you're talking about is a waste of time. It is nonsense. And that's just my way of being able to address the haters. So, that's all. I guess you can go kick rocks now. Years ago, I had to make the video 7 Rules of Hellcat because I got sick and tired of watching inexperienced drivers use the Hellcat and lose to other cars because they forgot little things like not having the red key in their pocket or smoking their tires to show off when they first got the car and then forgetting that they were going to be short on traction when they actually went out and tried to race somebody else. I told people to never forget the red key. I told them that they needed wider rear tires, and I told them that they had to remember to use the technology that was already in the car in order to ensure that they'd come out of every race victorious. Over the years, I purchased my own Hellcat, and then I had to deal with all of these ridiculous fanboys about the ZL1 and the CTS-V and this car and that car, constantly throwing ridiculous comments at me about not being able to make turns around corners and being too heavy and blah, 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 blah. So this time, I'm making a video about the number of people and fanboys who've popped up online talking down about the Demon since they're so butthurt because they know that that car is coming with everything it needs out of the factory to destroy them on every single race they attempt to run. Number 1, stop criticizing how much the car weighs. First of all, the majority of you fanboys have never even driven one of these damn things in the first place, but you always find it necessary to make comments about how much the car weighs, knowing that the car has an iron block V8 supercharged engine in it. And then the same morons are the ones who'll drive out of a car show with a Mustang or a Corvette and then get into an accident almost immediately simply because you can't handle the front end of your car. You know why you can't handle the front end of your car? Because your car's too light, morons, and you've done your best to spend all of mommy's money or your wife's money or your girlfriend's money putting all those bolt-ons and bullshit in the car, and next thing you know, the thing spins out because you had 900 horsepower to the wheels. But then the problem was the front end of your car was so feather light that the thing slams into an unsuspecting crowd. You Mustang owners know exactly who I'm talking to. And as for ditches, ditches love Corvettes. Corvettes end up in ditches. I've seen very few, if any, SRTs ending up in ditches. I've seen very few, if any, SRTs slamming into crowds. You know why? Because I actually have enough mass on the front of my car to be able to tell the wheels, hey, wheels, go left, go right. Don't hit the crowd. You Mustang drivers need to keep your mouth shut. Number 2, if it's not production, it doesn't count. I've heard all of these people talking about, oh yeah, well the ZL1's got a demon killer coming out and it's got to beat the Hellcat too. Hey, idiots, GM had the perfect chance to build something powerful and they screwed up by leaving only 650 horsepower in that moron car ZL1 and that loser mobile CTS-V. Those cars were cool 6 or 7 years ago when the Hellcats didn't exist and SRT didn't have an answer for them. But guess what? Now these things are coming out of the showrooms 707 horsepower. Guess what? I know it's common core math, or I should say communist core math, since most of you are so brain dead at this point you can't even count to 10 without taking off your shoes. But guess what? 707 is a bigger number than 650. And when it comes to the Demon, production street legal coming out of that dealership with 840 is a hell of a lot bigger than 650, where I got to take the car, ship it to some dude somewhere in Texas and tell him, yeah, I want you, here's $10,000. Please put more power in my car so I can beat Hellcats and Demons. Guess what? That ain't production. You know why it's not production? Because it's not production. When the insurance sticker comes and it says, hey, guess what, sir? You have a Hellcat or you have a Demon. When you get your insurance sticker, it says, yeah, you got this bullshit ZL1 with only 650 horsepower. And meanwhile, the guy down the block's got the SRT and he's rolling out the dealership with 840. There's nothing you can do about it because GM gave up on you. Ford gave up on you. So when they're, and especially Ford, you know what bothers me about Ford? They had a perfect chance to use that Boss engine in the Lincoln. They could have made it an option. They had a perfect chance. What do these morons do? They drop it in a Mustang and they only put a manual in there. Guess what? Most people aren't driving manuals because they need to be able to share the car with their wife and their children, their significant others, their mistresses, whatever. They're not driving manuals. So Ford wouldn't take the extra step, develop a strong automatic transmission. So they left you out there hanging with your balls in the wind. And now you got to face facts that not only is SRT putting out a $60,000, 707 horsepower car, but on top of that, they're putting out one that's going to be less than $90,000, putting out over $840. And then on top of that, if you got people who don't have that much money, they've got regular SRTs throwing out $485, and God knows how powerful those things will be 4 or 5 years down the road. And you just got to deal with it. And as for you Mustang drivers, stay away from these unsuspecting crowds, because as much power as they give you is too goddamn much. And you talk how great about your manual is. You can barely drive the thing, and you keep hitting these poor innocent people. You people are a menace. As soon as they started talking about the Demon being so fast that the NHRA wouldn't allow it to compete, you got people like Autoblog. Oh yeah, well they should have just put a roll cage in it, because they should have known that nobody'd be able to compete if it didn't have a roll cage. Hey, morons, did it ever occur to you that anybody who's planning to buy something like this knows that they're gonna have to have a roll cage, and they're most likely gonna come up with some kind of custom work themselves? Did it ever occur to you that maybe, just maybe, that people who drag race for fun or a hobby or as a living, because some people make a lot of money doing this shit, did it ever occur to you that maybe somebody might say, I can't compete unless I have a roll cage. Let me take this thing down to my buddies down the block who own the auto body shop, and they can install a roll cage. You people are complaining about stupid shit that anybody with half a brain already understands. Furthermore, this thing is already street legal, and I'm pretty sure that they want to make it so that it's fully customizable, and if you want more seats, you can get more seats. If you don't want more seats, you can take more seats out. That's user choice. They're going to do it. Anybody who buys this thing already knows in the back of their mind how much of their Social Security check they plan on spending on the Demon instead of going out and buying crystal meth. They've already allotted the money. So why don't you just give them time to buy their car and bring it to the drag strip so they can destroy your CTSV, your CTSV, your ZL1, and destroy your silly GT350s. Leasing makes more sense than financing. I got all of these people who, oh yeah, well if you lease a car, you don't really own it. It's not really yours. It belongs to the bank. Hey, you idiots, even if you finance something, it still belongs to the bank up until you pay the car note off. But the question is, why would you want to keep something when they keep on improving on the damn thing? Imagine how all of those Challenger Hellcat owners feel who went to the dealership, financed a car, ended up paying an overage, and then realized that it was going to be a massive haircut, and they had a new street legal production drag car coming out less than 2 years later. When I financed my Hellcat Charger, that goddamn thing was $1,050 a month. And now you mean to tell me less than a year and a half later, now they're leasing these damn things for like 10,000 miles per year for only $599? I'd have to be an absolute idiot if I was buying one right now to say, gee, let me spend $1,050 a month instead of $600 a month when this is obviously going to be a second car that I only drive sparingly on the weekends. There's a reason why they only give you 10,000 miles per year on that lease. The reason why they only do it is because they don't expect you to drive this goddamn thing in the winter. You know why? Because when you're dealing with rear-wheel drive, summer tires, or even the all-season tires, but you got that much power in the damn thing, the car refuses to stay below 35 miles per hour. They don't expect you to drive these things in the winter. They expect it to be garaged in the winter. But half of you don't know that because half you don't own houses, half you don't have garages, and the majority of you never had a cool car beyond some goddamn GTI that you're driving around in traffic trying to show off your wicked manual skills every single time you see the SRT badge and get triggered. I'm sick and tired of arguing with you people because you come up with the dumbest arguments, and your arguments are absolutely ridiculous. If you want a BMW, go buy a BMW. If you want a Mercedes, go buy a Mercedes. I guarantee for the most part, most of you aren't going to finance them. You're going to lease them. And second of all, I guarantee that when you do lease it, that piece of shit will be such a low-level car until you might not even have automatic windows. You'll probably have those hand cranks up in there like the 60s. So please, stop messing around with these silly comments because you sound like ridiculous butthurt fanboys. And I know exactly why your butt hurts. It's because all your favorite foreign brands are being surpassed by Dodge, Chrysler, FCA, Maserati, Fiat, Ferrari. That's why you're upset. You're upset that your little GT350 ain't as fast as a Hellcat. You're upset that your Corvette is just waiting to end up in somebody's ditch on the side of a road. You're upset because despite that little bit of mass you got, you can barely drive your car without crashing it. FCA, Dodge Demon, Chrysler, Jeep, Hellcat, Trackhawk, Demon, we're coming and we're taking pink tickets.